I would like to welcome my amazing, amazing guest today, who is Jill Heaton. And Jill owns an organization called the Unleashed Collective. Jill, welcome.
Thank you so much, Prina. How are you today?
I am very well, thank you, Jill.
Good.
If you wouldn't mind, can I give a little bit of an introduction to all things Jill?
Yeah.
And explain what we're going to talk about today.
I'd love to hear it. Go for it.
So, Jill owns and operates a national training organization that has delivered Celebrancy training across Australia thus far for the last few years. And Jill has just announced recently that you have expanded your services to offer even more training in the form of management training, leadership training, all sorts. You've got a whole suite now that you are offering through your business, and they're all accredited courses. So I'm gonna learn more about that in a minute. Jill has also been a celebrant for over 18 years, and I know she loves what she does. And the reason I'm talking to Jill today is because Jill, obviously having married many of people for over 18 years, knows about relationships. So I want to talk to you today, Jill, about the power of getting on with anyone. Yes, anyone at work. So within the workplace, because I think a lot of the stuff that you have probably learned organically is transferable to people within the workplace also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And go, Jill.
I was just going to say, just connecting with people in personal relationships with the celebrancy work, so marriage or renewal of vows or commitments, is also working with my students in their leadership and training for business and operating. So yeah, very transferable skills.
Exactly right. And the importance of getting on with people, whether it be in the workplace or obviously, personally also, it's so important. And that's one of the things, Jill, that has constantly come across my table, so to speak, in relation to the stuff that I help my clients with. At the crux of it, usually is relationships.
Right. Yeah, it can be really difficult because we're so different. So I can understand that being a challenge for your clients.
Absolutely. So within the workplace. So relationships, how to firstly build them and nurture them from your perspective as a celebrant. What kind of things have you learned that you can apply to our workplaces, Jill?
Look, I think that's a really good question, because first of all, every time you meet someone new, it's something different. So you've got to understand that they're coming from different backgrounds, whether it's religious belief systems, culturally different. My friends and I, we disagree, but it's okay. And that's the beauty of our relationship, that we can still be super supportive and be different. And I think if you can identify that and be comfortable with diversity and be comfortable with the fact that, someone has a different challenge over you or someone has a different experience over you, then you can handle the situation a little bit better. So I think being open-minded to diversity is really important.
100%. And I really like the fact that you say be open to other people's differences, whether it be their difference of thought or background or whatever. And that's one of the things that, clashes when I support organizations to deal with toxic teams or whatever. It usually comes down to that I don't understand your needs or where you're coming from, and you don't understand me, hence that tension has been created, which therefore results in conflict.
Yeah, and often it wouldn't be necessarily the work problem that's the problem. It would be that line of communication that's the problem. Yeah, working through those triggers and trying to work out how they can both understand.
Do you have any tips, Jill, on how we can be more relatable to another person and how we can understand another person more so in that context of what we just discussed?
Look, I think to be relatable, you need to listen. It's essential that you are listening. And if you are listening, then you're taking in what they're trying to explain and share with you. So once you've got a grasp of what they're trying to share, you can then reiterate and confirm the conversation. Did I hear what you just said? And do I translate that information the same way? And then you can apply that, because you know, you've understood. If you miss the listening, then you really miss the whole conversation. And sometimes, you know, I might be explaining myself and people have no idea because I'm just rattling off, and I might stop and draw a picture or stop and put them in positions for celebrancy work, right? Like I can move them around and say, you'll be standing here, you'll be standing here, this person will be delivering that, deliver that. And then they get a sense of what that looks like. So you can apply that in the workplace as well. You can move people around and use tools and equipment.
That's cool. So you're really talking about number one, listening, which is being present. So I am here, and therefore that whole aspect of summarizing the conversation to confirm clarification from the other party or whoever else we're talking to.
Yeah.
There's that one aspect of paraphrasing. So that's true active listening. Then on top of that, you're talking about all of us have a role as a facilitator of sorts.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah.
You can facilitate a conversation, and you can, if you are more of, you know, a people manager or whatever, you can be more instructive also.
Absolutely. You need to fall into your roles and really take it by the horns, particularly in a workplace. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's say I'm a leader, I'm brand new to this organization. How do I even begin with building professional relationships within my workplace?
I've got a few points here. So definitely the listening. You've got to listen. You're brand new, so you need to know what the culture is already like. You can't come in with all new demands and structure, because people won't take that well. So I would suggest listening first, getting a feel, maybe being grateful and appreciating those skills and people in your space, or your new space. And then I'd probably finish with to share, but don't overshare. So let them know who you are, let them feel comfortable with your space, and then you'll be able to make decisions and take that leadership role that extra step further, because you've got trust at that point.
Amazing tips there, because one of the things I have come across, Jill, is, you know, when people start in a new organization, you want to impress. Therefore, we're in the mindset of, you know, being that peacock and showing off, and, well, I've done this here, you could do it here. And I've heard that kind of management style referred to as pigeon management. So a pigeon comes into the room and poops all over everything that this team has already been working on.
Yes, you can't do that.
No.
and even if you're nurturing, so you're the pigeon mother, and you come in underneath and you nurture, then you're going to get a better response from the team, because and you can, you know, slowly release all those beautiful feathers, but you've got to do it in the nurturing manner.
Exactly, because that initial aspect is related to building trust between you and I, right?
It absolutely is. And like you and I, we have different skills, and that can complement. You know, it doesn't need to be in competition of.
Really.
So everyone has a role.
Yeah, so everyone has a role. Listen, and share your learnings, but don't overdo it.
And definitely appreciate the skill you have in your team.
That gratitude aspect is massive, and that will allow your team to open up to share more of their capability with you, so you can get a true grasp of who they are and how they work, so that you can tap into their potential.
Absolutely. Really. Yeah. And I think, Prina, if you just start your day with showing how grateful you are, whatever that is, it could be so small, like how was your night, how are you doing, you look great today, whatever it is, surfacey stuff even, that people can sort of touch in and then move on with their day more freely, because they've been acknowledged. Yeah, that's what I found has worked for me anyhow.
It's as simple as that.
It is.
And I talk about that concept. So when I'm coaching people, Jill, I really talk about the concept of starting from a blank slate and just greeting as if for the first time. So everyone, even if you and I have had a complication yesterday, today's a new day.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. And it's all about tone and mood and delivery and everything.
Yeah. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but there's tone, there's body language, there's all of those things that go into that whole parcel of when you're trying to engage with someone, right?
Absolutely.
And then as leaders, one of the things I talk about, Jill, is that sometimes you do have to tell you have different modes of communication to build that buy-in and that trust and that relationship with either your team, your stakeholder, or your peers. So I talk about you can tell, you can sell, you can there's other ones, you can consult, or you can co-create. And you know, if you go to co-creation stage and you're building more buy-in, and that relationship building is even more so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. You've got more strength in a space where people are using those high-end attributes and skills that they have if you're doing it that way.
Cool. Beautiful. Okay, so let's say I have built this relationship with you. How do I nurture? How do I maintain this relationship with you, Jill?
So I would say you'd need to check in with people, because people either lose focus or lose track or lose confidence. So you could check in all the time, and that also reassures them to know that A, they're on the right track, but also that you're there, whether they need you or not.
Yeah.
So as a good leader, that's something I would say really matters.
Yeah.
And also from a different perspective, nurturing, I would say that if I'm very proactive in the sense that I invite people to events and I invite people to participate with me. So rather than going at it alone, I would invite a staff member, or I would invite a colleague from a different branch, or even a different stakeholder. I'm going to be here, come along, and then it gives you the opportunity to network, but not network alone.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit of a safety net, and I kind of like that because it strengthens the relationship more than just the one. It really builds you into that safer space.
Absolutely. And networking often for most of us just feels like a bit of a yucky, false kind of environment. Whereas if you have, this person that you've invited along, you're both new and fresh to it, and you've got a partner in crime, so to speak.
Absolutely. And, they know people, they can introduce you, you can do the same for them.
Yeah.
So, and being the proactive person allows me to have control too about what events I'm attending. Is it a coffee date where we're just sort of catching up, or is it, a seminar or a webinar that we're, attending together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can really manage.
That comes back, so I'll invite someone, and the next week they're inviting me to whatever there. So it's a win-win.
Beautiful. And if you're time poor, you can manage your time and your energy by choosing the stuff that's right for you, inviting other people who you really enjoy as well.
Yeah.
You also talked about a really important point here. I'm taking notes while I'm listening. Yeah. You've made some brilliant points. You talk fast. So you talked about checking in. That is a massive, massive point you make there, Jill. Whether you are a people manager or not even leading people, that check-in element is so crucial. And he talked about the fact that, you check in to ensure that people are on the right track. And it's just that approachability to you as well. It's as simple as that, right?
It is. So if I'm walking into, I contract with a lot of my work. So I'll walk into a new office space. There could be 30 people in there, in their seats. And I will literally say hello and engage visually with each of those staff members. It could be really brief, but it's enough to let them know I'm in their space. And if they want to talk more, that I'm there to talk more. Yeah.
And one really good tip also is, the kitchen conversations, often in the workplace, are the best conversations. So if people are able to go into an office and they have the kitchen conversation kind of environment, utilize that. One of the things I used to do, Jill, when I worked in corporate is you didn't have to be at your desk. I used to just go and work in the kitchen area in the staff hub, and then you'd see the activity, you'd hear things going on, you'd say hi to people every now and then you'd be going back to your work as well.
Awesome. That is so good. That's great. Yeah.
And then from an online perspective, so a lot of us are now working online. We're working remotely at the workplace. We have stuff like Teams or Slack or whatever, and you can do, like coffee cooler chats virtually now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm doing, even if it's a post, so I'm, every day I've got a few people that I know need it, and I just send them out something funny, or someone I know loves horses and I've seen something, and it's so simple, but they know that they're being thought of, and it's that connection or passion that they have, which I'm aware of.
100%. And then I will know, oh my gosh, Jill heard me when I was talking about my horses. I didn't bore her. She actually cares.
Yeah.
And just that little aspect of when you truly listen to someone, you pick up little gems that you can genuinely then forge a relationship with going forward and then nurture.
That's right. Absolutely. So little and so easy to do.
Now, in the workplace, there's often broken relationships also. Any tips on addressing them and managing them to rebuild them as well, Jill?
So I think you probably need to be really honest in this situation. And I see that a lot of people struggle with the honesty side of things.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional in a professional space doing a job for an employee or self-employed, you need to really just call out what that feeling is, call out what the issue is, and try and make a positive change. So address the challenge, address the situation head on, and then find a way to move forward. And maybe it's a visual thing. Maybe you need to see or feel how that looks for the other person, but you need to call it out, and then you need to say, and how do we move on from that? So you can have the tools in your toolkit to be able to turn up the next day, like you said, Prina, and have that different tone or attitude.
Well, you make really good points there. So first and foremost is the honesty aspect.
Yeah.
And it's calling out the feelings. So I'm actually talking about myself here still.
Yeah.
So it could be, oh, Jill, the way that you spoke to me yesterday upset me because. I have to give you a bit of a because. And there's that, there's the formula of situation, behavior, impact when talking to someone, if it's a little bit more of a difficult conversation, and that impact on me.
That's right.
You can't deny, because that's how I feel.
That's right. And if you're coming back with a but, you're not listening to the person. So you need to listen to the person and understand that feeling to be able to address it. So it's all about your mindset in that situation.
Yeah, and just that it's just super defensive, and we're clashing heads again then, right?
It is. You're just starting from yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to deal with it or fix or address the unbroken situation, you need to be open-minded. You need to understand or even acknowledge, do that reflective listening, like I said before.
Yeah.
So you felt like this. You can even say, I don't really understand that at the moment, but I'm going to work on it. It's that positive reassurance to the person that you also find it challenging, but you're willing to give it a go.
Okay. Yeah. And being open-minded. And dropping your defensiveness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not taking it on personally.
That's it, right? It's a job. It's nothing personal. Absolutely so. Jill, one of the things, I've known you for a while now, and I'm going to drop a surprise for you.
Okay.
One of the things that you said to me as a celebrant just stuck with me. So this is the thing that you said. You said to me that you love marrying people. That's your thing. One of the things you especially love is marrying couples who are getting married for the second time.
Yeah.
Because there's just something different about them, and your heart just lit up when I heard you talk about that.
It's so true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you explain why to me that second marriage or that second couple relationship is something different, and why so?
Okay, that's a big question. So I generally find that the second time weddings are so less stressful. So the people generally know they've done it before. So then they're looking for something a bit more intimate. I'm very much into the intimate ceremony and the connection between the couple. And the story is a bit deeper. So the stories that they're sharing, may not be, how did we meet? How did we get here? And this is our marriage today in front of 180 guests. It could be, this is who we are and this is what we want this relationship to be. So there's a deeper level of connection.
Yeah.
And you get the tingles every time without a doubt, because it's just so intimate.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not invading space, you're holding space for a ceremony that they want. The ceremony is the most important part of that day.
Yes.
Not the shoes and not the cake.
Yeah. Okay. So the ceremony is the focus. That's beautiful. And that for me, hearing you, and you lit up again when you were talking about it, that's really transferable to us within the workplace as well. Because let's say I have started many jobs, I can do a bit of an audit on myself and see what worked historically in terms of my relationship management with people, what didn't work. Then I can even work out a plan of attack, couldn't I? To see how I'm going to engage with the right people and how best.
Absolutely.
With all of the tips that you've just shared with us. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Yeah. Jill, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
This show is called Ways to Change the Workplace.
Okay.
If I gave you a magic wand, how is one way that you would change the workplace?
Okay. I'm going to say competition.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that it should be eradicated.
Tell me more.
I think that Australia particularly, we are so privileged. There are so many resources. We have so many advantages. We have, it's kind of new and special things are happening overseas that Australia are not yet doing yet. Businesses are kind of in this, there's more small businesses and medium enterprise, and then large corporations that are changing because of the online differences. I just think there's so much flexibility in the Australian market that we don't need to compete. If we're feeling like we're competing, then we're the problem. I really think that, we can just be ourselves and we have a space. And as long as we are true to ourselves, then that space is totally ours. So do it your way is my absolute thing to live by.
That is a profound final statement also, Jill. Do it yourself, be yourself, and do it your way. So that lack of competition, that's one thing that really gets in the way of people, and especially this whole relationship management aspect also, is that me and my monkey mind might be seeing, Tom, Dick and Harry up there getting on really well, then I have this sense of loss or being excluded or whatever. Whereas if I reframe my mind to say, hey, I'm Prina, you need to get to know me, go and join that conversation with a cup of tea or whatever.
Yes. Bring them a cup of tea.
Sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the way to go. Be yourself, because you can shine when you're comfortable in your own skin.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Jill.
My pleasure.
Before we finish today, can you tell me, so you have been very, very kind, and you're offering people who are listening to this podcast $100 off for courses if they mention my name, Prina.
Yes.
What courses do you offer?
Excellent, thank you. We offer nationally accredited programs, like you said at the beginning. So in HR, human resources, leadership and management, business, entrepreneurship, and leadership and management. And they range from a Cert 3 qualification to a diploma. We also offer community services in Cert 3. So they're all online. People can access them at any stage. You can sign up today, enroll today, and start today. And they're spectacular, heaps of fun. It's exactly what you need to upskill and move that stage up in your career. Just doing some education around the topic that your industry you're in, and we can specialize our qualifications. So if you are in medical, or if you're in a particular type of industry for business, then we can actually put on some electives to match that need or that lack of skill where you want to, fine-tune that skill a little bit further. We can do that through elective topics.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Jill, I'm going to put all of your details in the show notes for this conversation. Excellent. And remember, people, mention Prina when you reach out to Jill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for today, Prina.
My pleasure, Jill. Thank you so much to you too.
Thank you. Bye.